Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to part 4 of the MPC Snow Speeder build. We're going to actually start putting the fiber optics into the cannons, and then actually get the cannons glued onto the little housing they go onto on the hull, and get the engine screwed onto the fuselage. So let's take a look. Alright, got these pieces glued together. I did a little filing, and then I took some of the extra thin cement real quick set, and rubbed it over, spread it over those areas, and it actually helps settle, because I did a rough filing on it. And then I also used my Tamiya scriber to scribe those lines back in, because these had a pretty good, on one side had a pretty good gap. And this one's already been hit with Scotch-Brite, and it's looking good. The extra thin cement helps, these scribe lines stay a little more permanent and cleans them out and everything too. Melt down any of the burrs and plastics, weirdness in the plastic from sanding, and then you just hit it with Scotch-Brite, and it cleans up that little bit of glue, that shine. And then some of that glue, although the thin stuff doesn't do it as much, some of that glue helps fill in imperfections too. And then when you just hit it with Scotch-Brite, you're kind of smoothing it over. I'm going to see if that works, to hide some of these seams. Because it was a tight seam, it was just, we'll see if it hides. We're probably going to see them here, because I can feel them. Well, not actually too bad. It's just the paint, because I painted black in there. Now I painted some white in there too as well. But this one I already did with the Scotch-Brite. But yeah, you can see how it has roughness and stuff, especially from the file. This is a good way to go back over it without losing your detail, is with some Scotch-Brite. And it gets in all the little detail too, because there's different levels all there. What I like about Scotch-Brite is it's something people I don't always think about, is it's a soft way of, like steel wool, I see some people use a lot too. But you can get it in different stuff. The red's a little more coarse. I have this kind of gray, it's a little softer. You can go back over and really rub over and sand over all the detail parts, and actually that's working really good, because you can get aggressive with it and really get in there and soften everything up so it all blends. That looks good. Wow, what a difference. Yeah, so there we go. Never underestimate the power of Scotch-Brite. Alright, I can put this away too, don't need that anymore. And like I said, I put some white down in here to give some reflection from the LEDs from this. I do want to test these, and they do have a resistor, so we're going to need a regular 9-volt. Because I did put window maker, I think I showed that, down in here to give it a little strain relief. A little bit of something besides it just holding on to what was glued there. To help glue that in a little better. There's the positive, and there's the negative, and we had a I should do the negative first, because I have such a tiny area to pinch it on. So there's our flash. And that's what our laser cannons are going to look like. They're going to flash quite, I wish they were a little slower. But they do got an on. They when they're on, they're on. You know, it's like a beep beep. You know, so yeah, where you can see where the light leaks are. That means I might hit this whole thing with some black. Just hit it with some, spray it with some black, because I'm getting a little bit of light bleed. And yeah, and I expected that, something to come through there. And maybe we should hit around here with black. I want to leave this clear because I want a good glue surface, although I could just leave it so that this is clear. The other one was fitting on tight. Let's try this one. Yeah, we get the leaks where a lot of it on that's coming through there, but we do have a lot coming through that seam. So we're going to have to paint these whole ends black. We'll paint the inside to here black. We'll just hand brush that in, and then we'll paint it up to about here in black, because we got to cover that seam there. But first we got to get a hole drilled in these. So I got the fiber optic. I don't have red, or I have a little bit of red on it to save. So I'll just use the orange. It doesn't really matter. All this color coding on the outside doesn't mean anything. It's all the color that's on the end. Because the color on the outside way out here does nothing. Because if you cut that and there's none of that color on the end anymore, it will no longer be orange. Like right now, I don't know if I can see it. There, you can see that's orange. If I cut both those ends that are coated with orange, it's going to be white. So now let's but this is the bit that'll allow this to go through. So we gotta try to drill a hole as close to the center as possible. And there we go. And I did a pretty good job of getting that center. And does this fit in? Yep. And is it going to make it all the way back to the back? That is the question. It's probably going to get hung up on... Oh, it's going through the tube. Get out of town. And there it is. There must still be some wet paint. Wet, white paint back there. But there we go. The fiber optic's going through. And that's what we plan on doing. We'll mushroom this end. And we'll mushroom that end, but we'll mushroom that end first, and then we'll just cut it and leave some length so we can cut it later. Yep, that works good too. So there we go. I guess the best thing to do, I'm going to leave quite a bit of fiber optic sticking out of here, is get it through, then mushroom this end, and then glue these on. Make sure we got a pretty good straight, and then we're going to have to do the red. I'm going to do the red on this side too first. Here is our upper top part. I just temporarily have that on there and temporarily have the cockpit in there. We're going to have to paint the guys, but that's looking good. See that screen in there? Let's see what she looks like lit up there a little bit. Yeah, so that should look pretty cool. And you can see my lights coming through the top of the dash here. That in this corner, and not really as much there, but I think even that other one is a light bleed. Yeah, everything in this corner is a light bleed. But if I do that, that's showing you the lights. So we're getting some light action that we'll see there, and the display screen. And it's being washed out on the camera, but you can see the AT-AT is really good. So that's that one. And where's the rear? Let's see if we can get this one going too. Oh, that looks good too. Yep, and you can see the lights on the ones up top. You can see all the ones on the dash there, and the little other display looks really good. So I'm really happy with that. Once the guy's legs in there, that'll block some of the wash that's hitting you in the face right now. That's going to be cool. I wish I could dim it a little bit, but, you know, I could even put a little black on the floor. So I'm hoping that will dim it down. But very cool. So, and I got those holes in there, so we can start doing a, yeah, I don't need those. We can start doing, I think we can start getting this together here. Well, all right, here we go. I got these light blocked in here. So I went through off camera and light blocked those. Even hit a little bit out here to make sure I don't get any light leaks, like, or glowing the plastic, because the plastic will act like a window. And then I hit out here a little bit, did some black in there, and then hit it with white. But then the other thing, which is not cooperating, is I put little tubes in here to try to stabilize the fiber optics as they come through. They're wanting to move because they have a curve because of the way they're packaged. So I cut a little pieces of a styrene tube and stuck that in there. So that'll hopefully, you know, because the hole's way back here, and then it was free floating in this area here. So hopefully it'll help stabilize. Let's see if we can even get one through. I have to come through the other way. I have to go this way. If it don't have glue blocking it up either. Yeah, I felt glue. And then can we get it out that hole? So now I probably, all I did is really just make, there we go. I got it to go through. Just give it a little twist. So I'm hoping that'll at least keep it, it's trying to keep it a little more straight out and towards the actual light. And I'm probably going to do the same with this because a little glue probably got in there. That one I got through. I don't know if I'm going to have the same luck on this one. There we go. But then we got to worry about getting out here. There we go. Sweet. Yeah, like I said, it seems to be helping them stay a little more centered. So what we're going to do is then we're going to clip them, or we can just mushroom and pull them through. I think it would be the best way to do it. There's the lighter. But we're going to have to color them red too. I'm going to try to get as big as a mushroom end on here as possible without how to work, as you can see. Or maybe not, but let me cut that off because it's got paint and boogery stuff on it. I want a clean cut, no orange. Shine it up to the light to make sure we're getting light, good light. And we are. And then probably should use paint, but a lot of times it's just a red marker will give you more than enough. I wish I had more of a... Yeah, that's the red I want. I wish I had more of a big wide pen that I could just glob some serious red paint or red marker on here. That give me some red, and sometimes it's good to do 2 applications of the marker. Hopefully those stay. This one's still a little loose. Why is the TV getting all of a sudden so loud? And that should be dry enough for me to hit another. Let's see if that gave it the red we need. It sure does. Alright, and then my plan is to slowly pull her out of there. But another good way to test what we got going on. I'm almost wondering if I should hook up my thing. I'm going to shut this light off and see if I... Oh, it's glowing it good. Alright. Sorry, it's too hard to hold that and get it up to the camera. Well, that's working beautiful too. I'm going to see if I can get the light to come off. There you go, you can see it. So that's working good. So we did good. And first I'm going to use the quick set. So it'll put glue around the fiber without melting it. I'm hoping that's what it's going to do. I mean, once they're in there, there's only so much they can go. I just don't want them to shift back and forth, especially because it's going to be a while. I mean, I'm going to clip them. Right now I have them like really long, but I'll eventually, you know, I'll clip them a little shorter so I can work with them without these long pieces of fiber sticking way out. You know, I'll cut them here, but I want several tries to try to get a good mushroom up to there. So there'll just be a little cap, and the mushroom just gives a little more light, and it allows you to see it at different angles too, you know. Where if you just have cut ones, you kind of have to be straight onto it. So if I give a little mushroom at the end there, like I did on that, it gives you a little bit of bigger light point. It's hard to tell. It's like, do I check? It's stiffening up. Then what I guess we could do next technically, get these out of the way. I don't need these. Sorry for my reach if I'm blocking the camera. All right. Here we go. And this is just me test fitting the interior cockpit area in the speeder. It actually just staying in there itself, but that's looking good. I like how you can still see this, detail from that side as well. But that's what she'll look like from the underneath. And then I'll attach this wire like that, and this one's going to be right here because this is about where my jack's going to come through, hopefully. I should check that out. It's already too late. I already got the hole, but because I think what we're going to have here, I imagine that goes exactly like that. And the thing I got to check is to make sure that this will fit in there. Oh boy, it just fits. I might have to trim a hair of this, but I can only do so much. But if I just need it so the wires can tuck from underneath there, because they also made the threads, like I think they start it right where this knurl. This thing has like a knurl on the edge. What these are is they're a threaded insert. You stick them into something, and then you're able to thread in a 1/4-20 bolt or anything like that. But of course there's no threads this far down. So if I trim a little bit of that, I don't need a lot of thread because it's just holding this really light piece. So I'll have to trim a little bit because this piece just, if I press that together, it pops up that much. See? So I'm at least going to have to cut at least that, but probably more. And I'm seeing the imperfections in this ship as far as how's that all line up. Like the bottom piece is almost, I'm going to have to like almost do that. Bend it down to get these edges to all meet. That's alright, but that's common. Even up here we're not quite meeting everywhere. I don't know if that was supposed to meet with that. Like that. I don't know. We'll find out. Or if this is supposed to set in a little bit. And that could be well too. Because when I push that down, that does that. So yeah, maybe that's just the way it is. And then this is supposed to meet up with that edge. That's what's going on. I see what they do. That's a weird way to... But as you can see, I at least got to trim that much. And some. So if it's going to be that much, plus I got to... Yeah, it's almost going to... I have to thread, cut off as much as I can, but with still having a thread. I'm really disappointed that they didn't run the threads all the way through, and I should have checked this. That's my bad. That needs to get squished down a little more too, so the actual cockpit. But that's what it's doing. It's hitting the cockpit interior So if it just sits up that high, I think we'll be all right. I'll make it work. We need to get these guys on here. So I'm going to have one like partly the way open and one completely open. So, but I'm hoping I can glue them when they go up. Like that one I should be able to hit. With some type of glues while they're up. So, but I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to close them while I do any painting. A little bit of bleed through won't bother me. So, resistors. Here we go. I think we're going to need the 330s or the 360s. If I remember correctly, I always like to check. These are the flickering, which are 3 to 3.3 or 3.2 volts rated. There's my calculator. My LED calculator. So it gives you your source. These are really cool. And it just to show you, this is I think it was free. Why am I getting all this garbage? It's just called LED resistors, cry data. And it's great because you get to put your source in, which is 9 volts. And then your forward current, which that says they're 3 to 3.2. So let's just do the 3 volts. And they're white, so they're going to be like a 20 milliamps. And then you just hit calculate. And then you have this resistor tolerance. You got a 10% or a 5%. I think all mine are winning like a 1%. So I'm going to use the 5. Then you have auto optimize, whatever that means. Then you have single LED, series LED, or parallel LEDs. And this is just going to be for a single. So boom, and it's saying a 300 at 1/8 watt. And then they show you the actual resistor. And then they show, of course it's going to spin. They show you the resistor and the color pattern, and then they show you how to wire it. There's your source. You go through the 300 ohm resistor and then to your LED. So at least 300. I'm going to use the 330 because it's the closest thing I have. It's a little over, and it's better to be a little over than a little under. And so, and I always solder these on to the positive side. Now, I got you in a kind of a bad area where the camera is, because that's where my soldering iron is. So this could be a little tricky. And I forgot to get water on my sponge, so that's going to be fun. Let's get this out of the way too. Alright, and I like to... Oh, that's already holding something. Oh well. We'll just do it the hard way. Probably burn my fingers. There we go. Simple as that. And we can the lead off of that. Bend that in more. And then where is that tool? Because this thing helps bend things really nice. And we'll bend this that way for the wire. And same here. Maybe. There we go. And we'll tin those. And these don't have to go hugely far, so let's get my strippers. Quick, how are we doing on? We're getting close to running out of battery power here. So I'll quickly do this one, and then the other one's just the exact duplicate. And like I found with these little wires, it's best to strip them because the stripper will strip them really good. On their own, but before you peel those black and reds away from each other, it's always good to strip them first, because that stripper I have will strip them if they're together. And that's, that's another thing. Why is like I can hold the wire there, and then until I get the solder gun, then it goes all over the place. I don't know if anybody else has that problem. Alright, that feels pretty good. Let's tin this positive a little better. And another good way to know if your solder joints are any good is you'll see they start to get like dull and stuff. That's usually not a good sign. That means you got a cold solder joint. So you may want to. So this one goes on this side. And if so, just at this point we're just judging the distance to the wires need to be. And not very long. Right to there is good. And we can do a test. Now we can actually stick you down through the hole that we drilled. And I put that battery away, didn't I? Yep. I'm not even going to separate these unless they can't reach, which is probably going to be the case. Nope, I got power. And it's flickering. If you can see. And it should be pulsating because I got flickering bulbs in there. But I'm also seeing some light blocking I need to take care of before I oh no, that's it. So we might have to hit that with a little black on the outside. That's fine. It'll all get painted white, so. But yeah, we're gonna have to hit. And I didn't notice that before. So I should probably do that before I even put them on. I just want to have a good access to all of it before we... Nah, we'll be fine. I might hit it a little bit. So, but yeah, I'm going to do the same to the other side. Just a simple positive, negative. Got my resistor in there, so that's working. Those are working. So when we come back, we'll glue these down. We'll get those glued up, the canons onto the pieces there, and we'll be good. Okay, so I went and painted those black. I had a little bit of light blocking, light leaks issue there. So I just went and painted that black, and I kind of wanted that darker vibe around there anyway. I was going to hit him with some paint before I put him on, but I think I'm going to leave him on there and just hit it lightly, because I want to see some of this black come through anyway, so I'm not going to have to hit it so hard. The laser cannons have set up. I let them sit overnight, so they set up really good. Still getting good light out the fiber, so we can start gluing these guys together, and we'll give these guys a quick little touch of paint. Let's see if this one is this side, just like this. Let's put these in some type of order here. This is this side, and that's that side. And now we're gonna go this way. So let's get some glue. Get this frog out of my throat. There we go. And the nice thing is the piece gives you plenty of coverage. There we go. We got one laser cannon done. Or together. I'm really liking this Revell glue. This needle applicator is like awesome. Oop. That might have been the one that fits tight. This one I might need to hold for a bit. Yeah, it's starting to set up already. That's why I like it. It's, you know, the tube glue takes forever. I mean, this does take longer than the thin, extra thin Tamiya, but it still, it sets up pretty quick. And even the, this Tamiya cement, which the 40, the 40 milliliter comes in the white bottle. It's the same stuff. This sets up pretty quick too, compared to the tube stuff, but I'll hit it with that. I could probably hit it with this one especially, with some of the extra thin around the edges. Sometimes I just like to give it that extra little setup, and since this stuff flows, make sure you don't miss anything, that's for sure. There we go. And it fills in some of the cracks too. And since it evaporates so fast, sometimes it leaves its filler that the glue has in it. There we go. And this helps it hold itself together too, because it'll bond and start to set up quicker than the Revels. All right, I guess we can just jump and throw these on. I had the tape underneath just to keep the wires from being all over the place. There we go. Alright. Feed this wire through. I don't want to go through. And there we go. I'm going to do a dry fit first. And the wire comes out of there nice. Do a dry fit first, see how we're actually fitting. Come on. I don't want to pull the needle out. But yeah, this is where this comes in handy, because you just... And it really saves you on glue. Because you can really get it into where you need it to be. Oops, that would have been wrong. Okay. Let's get that clamp. And let's remember we want to keep it a little more forward because the front is where it wants to pop off. And some started to squirt through there. Very good. That's a good sign. Make sure I have my little tape feet on my clamps. You just put I see a little bit of over squishing out. But the nice thing also I'm finding with this glue is it's even that's thin enough that I can wipe the excess off without really damaging any of the paint. We'll run some extra thin in there. First, let's get these two on. And then we'll go in and then I'll hit those tab holes with a little bit of the tube stuff. I like to use different glues for different areas. And the tube glue will come in handy right there because it'll really melt that together. Yeah, I probably should get this one ready first. Let go of that wire. There you go. Get this to where I can. I see some that wants to try to sneak further down than it should. Alright, let's quickly, before this stuff wants to flow past its... Alright. There we go. Now we need to stay on there correctly. Line up our locator pin, and we'll do the same thing on this end. Yep. Got the same situation, just mainly to the front. And there we go. Let's see a little extra there. And we're down toward the bottom where it wants to run, you know, down. But yeah. It's a little raised where the glue squished through, but once it dries, it'll shrink back up. You won't see that. And then I'm going to run some extra thin in there too. I'll even do some of that now because we got clamps on it, so it's not going anywhere. this up in here. Yeah, that's working nice. Might as well try to get some up here. It's going to be hard because the clamps are kind of in the way. And you don't want to get glue underneath the clamps. And you're going to have big footprints. I'm making sure to get a lot in there because it's not a huge space, but you can see a space. It's fitting pretty good for an old, MPC kit. But there, we'll let that set. I can get more on this side because the front was having the biggest issue with closing. That looks good. Alrighty, kind of wondering if I should just shut it down for now. Those, I'll take those over and just give them a quick paint. That's nothing, what do we got to do to that? We should probably, wrap these up. But like I said, we'll come back. I'll let these dry and spray them, and then we'll come back and we'll glue those on. I think we're going to get those on, and then we got the pieces that attach in between. So I'll have to see how they fit. Might have to glue them in and set them down at the same time as I go, because they show you gluing them right onto the back to this, but I want to make sure everything's lined up, so it's a nice good line. So I'm thinking gluing this down, gluing both of those on at the same time, because on this end it doesn't really even set, it just kind of like rests on it. Let me get the piece. It's this piece, which is going to go here, and then on this part it plugs into that hole like that. But I think it's going to be much easier to, if it goes off anyway, here it can weeble anyway, and I want it to line up with the other piece, so I probably should glue them at the same time. There we go. So you keep cleaning them off, and the nice thing is they don't really stick to the container very well. You gotta be careful. Like if you kink this tube too much, it's just gonna keep coming and coming and coming and coming. That's what made the old tube glue so much a problem. There's a little extra of this. There we go. You even got to be careful when you put the cap on, because you don't want to indent this at all, or it's going to want to rush out of there as soon as you open it. And I got 2 tubes of that, and it'll probably last forever. But it's a good stuff to have around. It's probably one of the best bonding once it bonds, because it really sets in there and really welds itself. So let's see how everything's fitting down. It's really looking good. Everything seems to be fitting down pretty good. Liking it. Very happy to see this. Here, give you guys the same tilt. You have to get close to changing the plastic or the tape. It's always good to tape the feet of your clamps, because the way they have them themselves just doesn't work. What are you hitting on down there on that one? It's different than the other. Oh. And unfortunately, I gotta be careful I don't put my finger in that where I just glued. We got such a slight gap. It's not bad on that side. I'm actually kind of happy with that. But this side, it's still kind of... Maybe if I move that back just a hair. So what are we doing here? We're letting these dry, which pretty much. So we're going to... Yeah, they're pretty much dry now. So we're going to paint these. I'm going to lightly hand just a light coloring of white there so I don't have to try to get, once it's glued on there, try to spray under it. And but I want to try to leave as much of this black because it adds as a depth like we did here. It gives depth to it when you add a black under or a darker color under another. It helps with the panel line. Sometimes like on some of these Star Wars ships you can paint the whole thing, you know, just light black, and then when you do like a white, since most of the ships are white or light grays, where you don't, you know, you'll see some of that black underneath if you do a light coat, and it gives depth and stuff like that. So that's why I do that. But okay, so when I come back, we'll have these ready to be set to glue, and then she'll be ready to just get a whole blend coat of white on there. And then the next steps will be to start putting it all together. The interior we can start putting in. I want to hit some detail on those two computers on the sides. Yeah, it's getting right down to it to be put it together. So until then, see you shortly.